to another episode of the A&A show, and today is going to be a very special episode. It's going to be a two-parter, and we're talking about our childhood. We're talking about the Disney movies from the Disney Renaissance, and of course, we have the Disney connoisseur over here who will tell us anything and everything that happened at Disney during this time. So let's get into it.
Oh, you already know, like the the period that we're talking about in particular for this episode. I'm so excited for because this is the gold standard. Everything that anybody, whenever people as of now, in the 21st century want to talk about Disney, classic Disney. This is what they're talking about. So let's start with 1989. I mean,
Mermaid, the
yep.
Little Mermaid.
So when we last left off, last episode of A&A, they were struggling. Disney was struggling. They had all of these corporate antics. This back and forth, and so when they get rid of the old guard essentially, and they start getting these younger cats coming in, they get musicians to do what they got to do, and they get these songwriters from Little Shop of Horrors, which is very much not a kids movie. But the music was amazing, obviously. And so they come in and they do something that Walt always wanted to do, which was the Little Mermaid. And look at what we got. I mean, that was the beginning. It was literally nowhere but up from there.
Because when I tell you Fathoms Below really set the tone.
Yep.
It set the tone.
Yeah, and right as soon as that fish dives in, and you get the the strings coming in of what part of your world? Like, oh, that was my shit. That is my shit. And then, obviously, when the sisters introduced themselves,
we are the Doctors Attraction.
And it took me forever to realize all their names begin with A.
A, Aqua, Avina, Anana.
All like they were some, and then of course when we got their sister Ariel, and she's not there, and we get once again her motif with the part of your world little ditty, and just everything about this movie, everything about the music in this movie particularly set the standard for what it was, because it was like going back to old, the old everyone has to sing their feelings out, but it was a bit more Broadway-ish,
It was. It definitely had that Broadway feel, which is why a lot of these Disney Renaissance movies actually went to Broadway, which is why that makes a lot of sense.
Right, because when that girl was she was so distraught because she just wanted to know what it felt like. And she said, I could just tell you about it, or I'm going to sing about it. And the girl just said she want more.
Yep.
And right there,
And the epic, of course, the epic scene with the reprise when, she's singing, she's laying on top of there, singing to him how much, she loves him. And then she's on the rock. She just, party when she hits that part of your world, and she stands up and the water comes right behind her.
Like iconic. That was really iconic. That, and then of course, then you get your Under the Sea, like just everything about. But I mean, the highlight, in my opinion, the second highlight of this whole movie was, of course, Ursula's amazing
Unfortunate souls.
Like, homegirl went through her entire life story, her story, if you will, and told this girl everything she's about, told the audience everything, and that's what like really a good Disney song does. Everything. Like, this woman really said, you got the looks, the pretty face, and don't underestimate the importance of body
language. And it was funny because the surprise of when Vanessa's on the boat, she's singing,
Yeah.
Woody Benson said she loved doing the evil voice. So like I would too, because I bet that was just so fun to do.
Right.
Like
evil Ariel. Like, come on.
like going from, being this princess, being this good person to singing in an evil tone. I would have had a field day. Like, I would have loved it. I would have.
Yeah, that was like everything about that movie just once again, I have to say it once in an episode, it was fun and fancy free, you know.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
stakes were pretty and the stakes were really big. You know, I don't think you had big stakes like that since Sleeping Beauty, where, you know, the big giant monster, you know, came in, and it's like that's straight up fairy tale.
No, it is.
You know, and to be all Disney aficionado nerd for a second, the reason why all of this happened was because Howard Ashman, when Howard Ashman and Alan Menken came in, Howard Ashman sat down everyone who worked at Disney Animated Studios in like a theater, and he went through the entire history of Disney and explained, and he somehow managed to like have it go straight with, you know, Broadway's history. And he's like, this is how they correlate, and if you can find the rhythm in this, then you can come up with a, you know, gorgeous movie every time. And he was right.
It worked.
Like, he was
Worked.
literally right.
And I think it's interesting that they modeled Alyssa Milano after Ariel,
Yeah.
after Alyssa Milano. I thought that was interesting. And also, I really hope that if they're going in this villain origin story mode, I really hope that they do a Ursula origin story, because I want to see how she got the palace. Like, I want to see all that. Like, I
Right.
want to see that. And Lizzo for Ursula, by the way. Lizzo for Ursula, by the way.
Okay. Especially with her as Triton's sister. Like, come on. What happened there? Like, how? Yeah, I'm with you. How did all this happen? You know, how did she become this vengeful woman? You know, I'm so here for it. But I think what's interesting with you talking about Alyssa Milano, like every film, every Disney film at that time, they were basing their main characters off of some Hollywood talent. Because like Aladdin was Tom Cruise, I remember that. Pocahontas was
Bedard. It was actually Bedard. Like,
right. So it's like they weren't hiding it. They weren't hiding it. Like, I'm here for all that. But what's funny though is that my favorite films, I had to go back through the catalog to before we did this, and I'm like, my favorite films, the big three, if you will, if you know, you know, the big three for my Disney in the Disney Renaissance were the ones Howard Ashman had his DNA all up in, and that was Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. And coincidentally, all three of those are right, you know, next to each other. But there is one that came before Aladdin, before we get on. No, before Beauty and the Beast. No, wait. Yes. So, was it before?
Let me look. Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah.
90. Yeah, it was 90. So right before
Beauty and
the Beast.
Because, I mean, that movie, amazing.
It was a great continuation of the Rescuers. Like, oh, that eagle, that majestic eagle. Gets me every time when Cody's flying with her through the sky. Like,
love it. Majestic. And like just the way the score was, you know, it's like, even, you know, the music was great, but that score, just the way like it made you feel like you were there with every single animal. Like you said, with the eagle, everyone thinks of that scene because the strings, like, it just makes you feel like you're flying. Like, it just, man. Oh, I hope they don't ever remake Rescuers. Make them Rescuers 3. Don't redo the Rescue. Just make it 3.
Right.
Make it about their kids being in the Rescue Aid Society.
Ooh,
you know,
trying to make their bones. I like that. Like, you know, Bianca and Bernard are like we're the top dogs, you know, Rescue Society, and then their kids come and they're like, never be like Mom and Dad. Will we ever gonna be there? Yeah, I like that.
See, I'm surprised they never did a crossover with the Aristocats.
You know what? That would have been very interesting.
Like, what if the Rescuers? What if they had to find the kittens?
Ooh.
There's your crossover, Disney. There's your crossover. All right. No, like, I love Rescuers Down Under. Like, the animation just, That, because I think that was the very first movie, other than Oliver and Company, where they heavily used CGI, and it just with the cell shading, just we can talk about the music, but like the animation, just
top notch. Like the animation during this period was incredible.
Like you can't compete or compare with that 90s Disney animation, and that's what some certain animated studios learn,
During the time there were some who could. There were some who could, but
there were about two. There were about two studios that held their own, but I think in the early days of where we are now, the only competition they really had was still Don Bluth. Later, because somebody leaves, and we're gonna get to them.
DreamWorks.
They really make Disney say, "Oh, okay," because at this point, Disney, they would just churn out things because they were like, "We gotta look." We have to finally get back to where, classic Disney once was. And so, that's when you see really good art, is when a company, DC, is struggling hard, Marvel. And, you just like when someone comes in, or they come in and they just add this new flavor, they're just straight up new flavor. And it's beautiful every time. That's the Renaissance, and we got that. I think that was most obvious. Like everyone talks about Little Mermaid, but I think it was very obvious with Rescuers Down Under. Like it was something new, something fresh, never had anything like that since, if we really keep it a buck.
Right. It's like taking something old, like a concept that is old, like the Rescuers, but reinvigorating it and showing it in something different but better at the same time. Because I love the original and I love the sequel.
Right.
Like you could barely say that with Disney sequels. Like there are only maybe you could say Disney sequels that are good, and the Rescuers Down Under is definitely one of them.
Just oh my god, that we might have to do a review just on that movie alone. I'm just saying, because that was a really good one. But I mean, we went where the people were hopping mad over with the mice. But let's go to Agrabah for a second.
Oh
no, you're right. Let's go to France. Let's go to medieval France, shall we?
In a poor provincial town, little town.
Yes, a poor provincial town. Lord, oh my God, the strings with that piano at the very beginning. Oh my God, and the stained glass window. This movie, see, let me tell you, I have love this movie always, but I have a slight love-hate relationship with it now, where I am in my life, because this movie, this is my favorite movie. You can ask Avia all you want. Like this one is in my top 3, and this is always my number 1. But because of this movie, we will never, ever, as artists, we will never see an animated film get nominated for Best Picture
ever again. Because it swept it. It's like if Disney would have kept these, and if they would have had that, if they would have continued that this whole 10 years, 10 years, every single Disney animated movie would have been nominated. Every single one. But because they're like, wow, we really did just let an animated movie
right
in this category. They're
like the Academy. I know the Academy was hot when that happened. I know like some of those old heads were like, oh hell no. Because I think what won? Silence of the Lambs won, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So, when you have, and I love Silence of the Lambs, when you have an animated movie, an animated fairy tale right there, in the 90s, especially early 90s, because early 90s Hollywood is a whole thing we got to talk about one day.
Oh, yes.
It's like, you let that happen, the cultural impact, like when I was watching some episodes of The Nanny, like every other episode in like season 2, they were talking about Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
Like that's some impact. that movie's so good. The soundtrack, like I could
Oh,
listen to the score. I could literally listen just to the score. That's what made me appreciate music more. Was I listen? There's a YouTube channel that's no longer alive that just had the scores of Disney films, and like, oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
can we
But
talk about like Belle, like the song Belle, like it's not even her, like it's the town pretty much saying how
right,
weird she is. Like it's just it's one
very
song,
Aquarius energy.
very, very, and also of course we can't forget Tale as Old as Time.
Song as old as rhyme. Beauty and the Beast. No, when Mrs. Potts starts singing that Angela Lansbury,
Very,
and
yes,
she starts singing that, with the chandelier and the way the camera goes, and you see the
as
little
the sun
cherub.
will rise, and then they just start, and then the beast
Yeah,
starts down, they just start coming up in the
man.
stained cherubs, and all
Yeah,
it was
like
beautiful.
that was very controversial take I'm finna make. Very
Mm-hmm.
controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna say it, like every film that came after that is not um, the ones that we're going to talk about, but every film that came afterwards that had that fairy tale-ish Broadway feel, we're trying to emulate Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Even your fave Frozen, y'all. Even
Yes,
your fave Frozen. I'm just gonna say it
yeah,
because the way that there were no fourth wall jokes in Beauty and the Beast. Like
don't
this
worry.
thing was straight fairy tale. It said we got a crazy idea. We're going to explore it. We're going to go all out with the music. You got the like be our guest.
Yeah,
You can't get another music like that. Like there's no wink wink nudge nudge in the in this movie at all, even with the music. Like when Gaston does like La Fou, I'm afraid I've been thinking, a dangerous pastime. I know,
I
like
know. Mm-hmm.
that shit is hilarious, and it's not like nobody looks at the camera when they say it. I just
Mm-hmm.
no one blank as Gaston, like Gaston and his damn song.
Yes,
Yeah, no, the whole
love
movie
it.
just. Oh, and something there,
Mhm.
like that. There may be something
There
there that wasn't there
was
before.
before. Who would have thought?
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Oh my God, no, that scene right there. Yeah, when they were going back and forth when they were watching them.
Mm-hmm.
That's I forgot the actual term. It comes up in Pocahontas too, but that's straight Broadway because you also have that in Les Mis with
Yep,
One
sure
Day
did.
More.
Yep,
You know?
yep.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is like the most Broadway movie,
And this
period.
part, I have to say, like this one, like this is definitely one of my favorites of this time because when I was a kid, this is probably the one I watched the most. And my mom would say when I was little, probably like 2, 3, 4 years old, like because whenever we would travel, we always have a TV. If we had to travel long ways, and then I was like, "Beauty Beast, Mama, Beauty Beast, Beauty Beast." She's like, "Okay," so she would put it in, and we would watch it, and this, this, you know, everything about this film brings back, like I said, the fairy tale feeling, even though everyone can point out problems, with each Disney film, like with the Little Mermaid, like Ariel giving away her
Mhm.
voice
For
to fall in
me.
love, for a man to fall in love. And I love Hallie. I love Hallie, but a black woman giving her voice for a white man is, I'm just still
To
gonna
a
support
white man.
to a white man. It's kind of, oh, but like I'm supporting sis because this is a dream role. Like this is a great role for her, and and of course, Beauty and the Beast. Stockholm syndrome. Being taken prisoner,
Mhm.
in love with your prisoner. Yeah, like I said, the Disney movies aren't perfect. We're not saying they're perfect. There are
At
problems.
all.
There are problems, but we're focusing on the music, and the music during this time is just phenomenal.
Hmm. Just beautiful. Like, man, yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Like their music. the music and the animation go hand in hand. You know, everything is just, it's so perfect. It really is. Like, it's just perfect. That is, to me, a perfect movie. The Academy agreed too, because that's why they nominated. But then they were like, "Nah, we just kidding. We just kidding." Like,
and then we're gonna make our own separate category with animated films, so y'all can have your own. Which, of course,
like,
Disney
and the fact that they, I forgot the New York. I think the New York Film Festival. It was some festival in New York. Disney brought that movie before it was even finished. They had, like, you know, all the audio, all the recording, but they had rough drawings. Everything was black and white. Storyboards were still there, and they screened that thing for critics. Everybody applauded when the movie was over. Like, you can't get that no more.
God, it's been years. It's really been 30 years since that movie released, and it still holds up to this day. It's been 30 years.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, just brilliant. Beauty and the Beast. You can't get another one like that. That is a once in a blue moon kind of movie. That is legit once in a blue moon kind of movie. They did the damn thing. Kudos. And by that point, unfortunately, this is where Howard Ashman died due to AIDS. And like, one of the big, you know, stories that everybody keeps talking about was Alan Menken went to his, you know, basically while Howard Ashman's on his deathbed. Remember, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken were like this. You know? And he told him, you know, he said, Beauty and the Beast, you know, is doing amazing. You know, everybody's applauding. It's like, who would have thought that it would be like, and Howard Ashman's like, I already knew, because the man put, like, somebody, I forgot, I think it was Roy E. Disney. He's like, Howard Ashman was the closest thing to having Walt around, because he understood it. Like, the music and the animation, the storytelling, it all comes together. Just, oh my gosh, that period, like this particular period, just perfect. So, you know, they take Howard Ashman's notes and they're like, okay, we got movies on movies we finna make. And that's when we take our little trip to Agrabah, you know, on an Arabian night, you know. Like, where it's flat and immense and the heat is intense.
But barbaric. Hey, it's home.
It's home. No, like that intro, that you don't even know what the hell you're finna get into, really, because it's like, you think it's gonna be, you know, another, you know, big Broadway-ish, you know, take itself seriously like Beauty and the Beast, and then all of a sudden you have Aladdin being so cocky.
And charismatic, a cocky, charismatic street kid.
No, he's got to eat to live, got to live to eat. Tell you all about it when he got the time.
Once up, you have the bread line.
Once again, you see how all I have to do is say lines and then Avia immediately starts singing them. That's the impact of the music, y'all. The talent that has, the implication that has, right?
Why am I not surprised?
It's a big surprise. Like, the fact that you can get Gilbert Godfrey and not have him be the most annoying voice ever. Like, they did that. Look how they ate that.
Yes.
You know, but you know, of course, when after,
I think I had a heart attack and die from not surprise.
The fact that, you know, after Aladdin realizes that, you know, the people will find out there's so much more to him in his big song. He goes to that cave of wonders, rubs that lamp, and realizes he never had a friend.
Yep.
Like the late great Robin Williams.
Yes.
Man.
Can we just talk about that epic line when Jafar says, you know, masquerades as a person, you shall have your reward. Your eternal reward.
So he listens to your eternal reward. You shall have your reward. Oh my God. No, mine was when he whoever has the gold makes the rules.
Whoever has the gold makes the rules.
He does that crazy smile.
Just with the gold tooth.
Jafar was different. Jafar is different.
Yes, I wish he had a villain song. I wish he really.
Yeah,
He kind
he
of
had
did.
one.
He kind of did, but.
Well, what's crazy is they gave him two. He had one called "Humiliate the Boy." Both of them are recorded too. This was way back when I was doing my Disney class and learned all this stuff. When Aladdin still had his mother as the main character or a main character, which she did pop up in the movie when she was that woman who said, "Getting a little trouble early today, aren't we, Aladdin?" Yep. But there was a song when Iago was still British, and they had a song called "Humiliate the Boy." It's a very strange song, very strange. But then he had this song called "Why Me," which explained his entire backstory, and that thing is a sinister. It's such a bouncy song, but it's very sinister. It's kind of like Gaston. Mm-hmm. Like, I advise listening to that for everybody who's interested. I advise listening to some of those deleted songs from Aladdin because Jasmine was a whole different person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was a brat. She was a brat. She was way too bratty. Like, I think they realized she was not likable, and they were like, "Nah, we can't do this."
Right, because Jasmine's definitely one of my favorites. Like, I like Jasmine. I'm glad they changed that up. Yeah. It's been a whole new world.
Man, let's see. Now that right there.
We had in the car, y'all. We karaoke that in the car all the
time. Every damn time. Like, the man told this girl he could show her the world, right?
Shining,
which is what she wanted, right? You know, and then, oh my God, the dude, I think, I'm really trying to think now. Everything before that, there may have been like a couple of duets, but nothing like this.
Lea Salonga can't go wrong. Lea Salonga can't.
You can't go wrong. This is when they start getting Broadway singers too. Like, there's literally no duet I can think of that was like this prior in Disney. Mm-hmm. You know, they were always, some dreamlike, and they had the big choir in the backgrounds, like with Robin Hood or Sleeping Beauty or something. But just, oh my gosh, the back and forth, when Aladdin's saying a whole new world and he's holding that world, and then Jasmine says an unbelievable surprise, like with the horse running
too. She like has her arms on the carpet in the air, like
and then they grab a cloud, like that just, there's a reason why they were winning best songs with the Academy, because like that is a perfect song in every sense of the word, a perfect duet. Like, honestly, if you want to see if y'all have the range, you do that song in karaoke.
Yes.
Because you got to go up and down with the notes. You have to, like, oh my God, the octaves, the range this had, the classicism it's had, like.
And can we talk about Robin Williams' range? How his voice is inflicted in A Friend Like Me and Prince Ali. Like, can we talk about that?
Oh my God, no! When he did Prince Ali, when he did all them voices, Fabulous Zeus, I love Fabulous Gary, I love the feathers.
Yes, I love the feathers. Like, he did it. Her accent.
Robin, the fact they made this comedian sing his heart out, and it was like, it didn't come off. It didn't come off corny, like he even used his humor in the song, and it didn't come off like, oh yeah, we're not taking this serious. This is like, this is the character of the genie. He's a silly character. Mm-hmm. We didn't get that in another movie, but it was true. Like, it is what it is. You gotta do something different. I get it, but. With both A Friend Like Me and Prince Ali, like, that showed Genie as this helpful, wise, yet hilarious character, and like the music with the big brass, and like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. When you hear "Make Way for Prince Ali," like, it sounds like an actual parade. Mm-hmm. And Jafar just hating in the background, hating outside the
Prince
club. Prince Abubu. Ababwa. It's time to say goodbye to Prince Abubu. Mans was crazy.
He was.
That man was crazy.
Also, there was that song. It's interesting because this song got left out, but they put it on Disney Mania because Clay Aiken covered it. Proud of Your Boy. And Clay Aiken covered the song on Disney Mania, and I remember you telling me that was a song that they cut out of the movie. And I was like,
yep, they cut it out because it was too much. It was too much for people who worked at Disney because that was when Howard Ashman died, and that was like his song.
mm-hmm.
You know, that was his song. And unfortunately, the Proud Boys tried to take it to make a joke out of it, but you know, you can't beat the mouse.
Right.
No matter how hard you try.
Yep.
If you give a mouse a song, it will be a hit.
Yep.
So deal with it. But yeah, no, Proud of Your Boy, that's a beautiful song. They should have kept that in somehow. But I get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They should have did like Someday with Hunchback of Notre Dame. Just have it at the end.
Yeah.
Because that would have been dope. But, you know.
I'm going to talk about that one because that movie has some of the most beautiful music during this time.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
So that episode, that's how my mom.
What's funny is that's going to be the first. That's going to be exactly where we jump in on episode part 2 of the Renaissance. Because, yeah, that signified a whole different era. But yeah, like this is, Aladdin was just beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that. But I mean,
this next one,
the one that came after this was, if Disney had everyone. Okay, Disney. Imagine this: Disney from the top went to the bottom, and now they're starting to get respect again. They're getting that clout. If they had America by the balls by this point, they had the world by the balls when they took us to Africa. And that sunrise.
You hear like as soon as you hear it, you're like,
I'll never forget watching that thing in theaters. I think I was like, I think I can actually remember that. I was like 2, going on 3. And I'm just like, oh my God, like
beautiful. Like the animals just like, making their way to Pride Rock, getting ready for the coronation, getting ready.
And the way the lights, the lighting is like it feels like a real sunrise. Everything was so realistic. Oh my God. And you have that, that choir slowly building up, and you have From the Day We Are like
on the planet.
And Zazu comes in.
And then when as soon as they hold Simba up and it cuts straight to the titles, like, oh, they know no punches the first 3 minutes of this movie, and they never let go from the beginning all
to
the
the
way.
End. You know what? I'm gonna retract my statement just briefly. This was the only other movie at this time that was right on par with Beauty and the Beast with keeping itself so serious.
Yep. Now there were some funny parts.
Right.
And Disney did make fun of itself in it. But you're right. It is a very serious movie. Hamlet.
And Kimba the White Lion, but we don't touch that.
Right.
We don't touch that one.
But yeah, like, and then the next song, of course, is
Jason Weaver. Can we get kudos to Jason Weaver for that?
Yes, because he made a very smart decision. He made a very smart decision by deciding to get royalties for that song as opposed to voicing him for what, 200,000?
Right.
Yeah, voicing Simba for 200,000. That's it. But he made a smart decision by just being the singing voice and getting royalties for that. That was a smart business decision for like, and
brilliant.
And also, can we say that Nala was black coded from the beginning?
Shoot, the way she said, what's so great about the water hole?
Like, that was my favorite. Simba, I'm taking the bath. Like it's like then when she's getting bathed, I'm in the middle of a bath.
Right.
Like,
The water hole.
what's so great about the water hole? Like it's
Pin
just
you again. Like pin you again.
like she's like, they're just like pinch it, and then they do it.
Yep.
Pinch it again. It's like,
Yep. Homegirl was she was 100%. That's why they tried to make up for it by having Beyonce play her in the remake because they knew.
And also,
They
why
knew.
Nala is always played by a black woman in the Broadway musical.
Okay. Oh my God.
Headley.
We need to do an episode. We need to do an episode just about the Broadway musical because for all of those that are wondering why I say that, so you take this amazing movie. I think this was the first one they did on Broadway. Yeah, and Elton John's music. Elton John did the soundtrack. He wrote all the lyrics and stuff. They took that, made it even more African for the Broadway show, added lyrics to just the score for certain songs, and it's a whole different experience. Like I can listen to that soundtrack when I'm in a bad mood, always takes me out of it because it's something else. It is something else. Like, oh my God.
It was in there. I mean, they put it in the sequel. That was the first song in the sequel, but I just that they would have put. I just want to see in its glory, like in the original, like what it would have been in its glory. I feel like they would have been perfect if they were able to put it in
right,
there.
Especially with it being a reprise too, because Mufasa would have been singing it when he's showing him, the Pride Lands. Mm-hmm. And then Rafiki and Simba would have the reprise, or oh my God, no, like Hakuna Matata,
What a wonderful phrase.
Like, it's so fun. It's so fun. Yeah. But
can we talk about the music during the Stampede?
I was about to say, like, that one is so intense. It makes your heart race if you have it on full blast. I remember watching that thing in theaters, like just blasting, and then you have the noise of the trampling. Like, oh my God, that was fire, as ACS would say. But
and also
I love me some villains.
Prepared.
I was about to say, like, kudos to oh my gosh, I am blanking on his name.
Jeremy Irons.
Kudos to Jeremy Irons for holding that song until the last minute when he got throat. He got I was about to say throat cancer. No, it was not. He got I think laryngitis, and they had Jim Cummings in the song. You can literally tell if you know the voice, but like. Kudos to Jeremy Irons for doing that damn song the way he did, because it was sinister. Like having Whoopi Goldberg and Cheech, constantly interject. Like that's a villain song.
Yes. Can we say in the sequels? This is a hot take.
Oh, yes.
This is a hot take, and a lot of people are gonna be like, "What? No." When I say Zira, that's my lullaby. Is a bit step up of be prepared. This is why I say this. Because Scar is just talking about killing one person or two people. You only talking about killing Mufasa and Simba. That's it. But Zira is talking about fighting a whole war and killing pretty much all the other lions in Pride Rock.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my God. No. Yeah, we gotta talk about that one too.
Just saying. I know people.
In part two, we need to talk about that one in part two, because that was a whole different. That added to the second part of the Renaissance. But yeah, when she starts saying the pounding of the drums of war and all of that, I'm like, damn, lady. Yeah, like she went a whole step further, because I'm like, my favorite line from Be Prepared was when he said, "No, fool, we're gonna kill him." And Simba too, but like, Zira went a whole
step further.
I wish she was in the first one. I really do.
Yes, that would have been perfect.
But because it kind of feels like she gave Scar the idea, if we really keep it a buck, How about that? But yeah, no, like Lion King, just beautiful. When they got to "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" Come on. I don't think that was Matthew Roberts. Beautiful. Like,
evening brings.
I'm definitely watching Lion King later. I'm 100% gonna watch that. It just, but if we're gonna talk about here I go talking about music for a second, where it's just the strings. That little score, remember?
Yes.
When Simba has his come to Jesus moment.
Yep, his Saturn return moment, should we say?
Okay. And Mufasa's like, get your shit together. Remember who you are.
You've forgotten me.
And it's the way to, like, Hans Zimmer, say what we will about the man, but Hans Zimmer, like, the music is just perfection. And when it's building up to when, it's kind of playful and bouncy and all this stuff, and you got the Rafiki, and then you got the African chants that come halfway through, but then all of a sudden it's calm, and you get to Mufasa, and it's just building up slowly. And so the point when he says, remember who you are, and you have that choir come in, and the brass and the strings, you just like, you feel like Simba.
Right, especially when he's running back to Pride Rock. Like,
yes. Like you're pumped for Simba. You're like, you better go back and get what's yours. Get that man, get your uncle out your house. Like,
get your house in order, sir. Simba, get your house in order.
That was just, and of course the ending, right when the roar, when he's walking up Pride Rock in the rain, and oh my God.
It's beautiful. This whole move, like I said, they don't let up from start to finish. They do not. Like 130 minutes of perfection.
And it ends like it started.
Yep. Circle of life. It's a circle of life.
My God. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but one thing that I love that came out of The Lion King, and I showed it to you and Mike, it's the video of all the lions roaring like, yeah.
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 No, like Lion King just this is when Disney was like, they were on it. And at this point, Disney re-solidified itself as the company for entertainment, for U.S. entertainment. And because of the impact of Lion King, it was like global entertainment now, because, everybody wanted a piece of that mouse, piece of that cheese, if you will. And what was funny, though, our favorite person, our favorite executive, Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was been a butt because he actually didn't want to keep Part of Your World in Little Mermaid, because during a test screening, a little boy fell asleep, and he's like, we need to cut it out because nobody's going to be interested in it. He was wrong. He loved him some Beauty and the Beast. He loved him some Aladdin. But right here, he really didn't have faith in the Lion King. He didn't. He said he was going to put all of his heart and soul into another film that was being made at this time. And it's pretty divisive, I think we could say. Yeah. It's pretty damn, because I mean, when the movie starts off with some men singing about the Virginia Company, you're like, oh Lord.
Yeah. If you start with the movie in a certain perspective, it's gonna be in that perspective. Because I'm like, okay, so we're starting off with English settlers coming to America, acting like they're doing the Native Americans a favor, and talking about how they're going to kill any.
Oh my God! Oh no! See, no, you remind me of that lyric. Will scare up a few engines.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. Like what? Like, y'all tripping? Yeah.
Y'all are tripping.
And they try to make them. They try to make it work by going straight into the steady as a beating drum. Showing America, and I'm like, y'all should have started off the movie
with that. Now, you feel me? Like, y'all should have started off with that, and we know that it definitely was not historically.
Woo! That's an understatement.
That is a massive understatement, because of course when they came over, Pocahontas was like 13 years old,
and John Smith was very much not blonde hair, blue eyed. He was a short, little hairy red. She
didn't even fall in love with John Smith. She felt I'm not even gonna say fall in love. No. Predatory.
Okay,
John Roth. That was the person that she went to England with, like they put in the sequel, but we're not talking. Like I said,
right. That's a whole, that's oh Lord, yeah. There's some. This
and
one
the
is
only
got some
is
problems.
they were trying to romance it. They were trying to make this,
Mm-hmm.
a romance type of thing, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not. I love Irene Bedard. I love her, and I love that
Yeah,
that
beautiful.
they portray Pocahontas as this, strong woman who stands up
Yeah,
for the right thing, and I'm happy for that. But just how
yeah.
it just
I know.
didn't
Yeah, you can't
fit
you
well.
can't
You can't
romanticize
really,
English settlers.
you can't colonizers, like you can't,
Yeah,
like that's
you
just
can't do
something
that.
you cannot do, and especially if you know the history and you know what happened, like.
Right.
For they showed a thing, there was one thing, and if Disney really wanted to go dark, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame type dark, like there
Mm-hmm.
was one part I'm like, oh, but if no one really would catch it, it's rat. And I saw, in the Virginia Company song, you see a rat
Mm-hmm.
climbing up the rope. And, rats are part of the reason how disease got over there in the first place.
Right. Right.
You know,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see where you're going.
so if they would have actually talked about what the settlers actually, but I said this would be dark, like it would be like
Yeah.
dark, and I know Disney didn't want to go there, but I'm like, this
Yeah.
story
Jeffrey
is
Katzenberg was trying to make this like the most. He wanted this to be like, because I don't think it came out yet, but the rumblings of Titanic. He wanted that effect. Like the ultimate love story. And it's like, and what you want to know is so crazy is if you look at some of the concept art for Pocahontas, they were gonna make her look like she was 14 at first. They made her look like a Tiger Lily from Peter Pan. And I guess they were gonna make her a brat, and she was gonna like help the settlers understand. Like it was just, while she was basically, look, my problem is while Pocahontas was, trying to figure out if she was going to go just around the river bend, these English settlers were very much trying to come over. I mean, and the thing is, what's crazy though is you can't have your cake and eat it too. And that's my problem with this movie. So, okay, we're getting into, let's be film critics for a minute. Let's be film critics for a minute. You can't talk about how evil, and malicious these settlers and colonizers were by trying to, dig up the land and find something that wasn't there, but at the same time romanticizing essentially rape and pillage. You can't do that because and the excuse that they always had with this movie, and it always rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, well, if you replace America with Africa, keep the same plot, same music, same everything, this movie wouldn't have been released.
It wouldn't.
If John Smith stayed, his blonde hair, blue eyed, and Pocahontas was like a Bioya, they went over to Yoruba and they met these, people, and like this movie would not fly. And I just, watched the hell out of it when I was little. Don't get me wrong. I love
I
me some
did
Colors of the
too.
Wind.
I did too, because my fourth birthday, I had a Pocahontas cake.
Right. See, yeah.
And I had a Pocahontas doll because the actual character that they tried to portray was actually like the character Pocahontas was not historically accurate. I'm saying it now. Of course, she was not historically accurate, but she herself was a good character.
Yeah, this idealized Pocahontas, she was what, she was drawn, this tall, beautiful woman. They had some like Colors of the Wind and If I Never Knew You, which they took out, but they end up keeping on the credits. Two beautiful songs. Love those songs to death. Savages, some of the lyrics a little sketchy, but it did its thing, but yeah, this movie was a little problematic. When I say a little, I mean a lot.
Yeah, it was.
And I mean, you look at this was also at the time when Hollywood was still very much about that, white savior film, which they still kind of are, because like Didn't Dances with Wolves come out about this time too?
89. I think it came out in 89. Hold on, let me check.
Oh, because I would say if that's the case, then yeah, they were definitely working on this at the same time.
90. It came out in 90.
Okay, yeah. See, so yeah, it took about 4 years to make the film. So yeah, they definitely looked at Dances with Wolves. See, like that's what I'm saying. It didn't fly. The movie could have just been about Pocahontas and Kocoum, doing this epic romance thing and just keep the colonizers out if they want to be completely about, love and all this stuff. It just, if you were going to make a idealized version, but yeah, it was, this is a funny way to end this episode on this particular movie. But, I think what's interesting about it is it brings good conversation because it's like, can you separate the art from the message if they are so entwined with each other? And it's very problematic. Like I said, the music I love. Like I can listen to "If I Never Knew You" like crazy. But
and Colors of the Wind, I can listen to the Colors of the Wind every day.
Oh my God, no! I used to listen to this like crazy. The finale called "Farewell," which is just the score. You know how the movie ends when she's just standing and she goes like that.
Yeah.
I love that's 9 minutes of beautiful, beautiful music. But it's like every time I hear that little doo 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 doo, and you have the drums, and I'm like, I know these are some white people trying to do a little what they consider indigenous music, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Love, it's a good movie. It's good for a good fantasy, but it should not have been called Pocahontas.
No.
I think that's what it should not have tried to base it off of, something real. But what's really funny though, at the same time, Disney was trying to figure out if they could make Romeo and Juliet, a Romeo and Juliet animated film.
They probably got whispered. No, because that came out in 96. Romeo plus Juliet came out in 96. Right. I'm like, no.
It would have been awkward.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to make it in 90 something. Whenever they officially said Pocahontas, so I'm thinking 88 to 90. Mm-hmm. Then they start working on it, and then they probably did get discouraged by Romeo plus Juliet being in production at some point. Because you can't, see, this is the problem. This is why I want to end it here. Mm-hmm. Because at this time, Disney had hit after hit after hit. They still do up to this point and after this point. But it's like, this is when it started to get shaky because, to me personally, this is just me being a critic of film and music and stuff, but mostly film right now. They got a little too big-headed, a little too egotistical because they felt like they could do no wrong and they could take anything and make an idealized fantasy version. And it's like, that's why I said they might as well have just made a slavery movie, a slavery romance movie. They would have gotten best song, I'm sure.
No.
I guarantee you if the song was like This Tired Old Body, and they would have had Whitney Houston sing on it or something. Like I could literally already see it. And it's just like, you gotta pick and choose what you want because you can't take certain stories and try to make them this big, happy, fluffy thing. Like, this is where the Disney effect comes in. When everyone starts joking about the negative aspects of Disney, you can really pinpoint starting at Pocahontas, because in the next film, they changed a pretty significant ending to something. Yeah, we'll get on that. We'll get on that one next episode. Yeah. You wouldn't see Disney do Les Mis, okay?
They wouldn't touch it. They would not touch it.
That's all I'm gonna say. But they sure did try to take another thing of Victor Hugo's, and Victor Hugo really ain't for kids.
It's not. But this, like I said, this is probably the darkest Disney movie of this time in the music is beautiful. But we'll talk about Hunchback of Notre Dame next episode because I got thoughts. Thoughts.
Okay, I got thoughts. I mean, you got real thoughts because you're Catholic, so
yes.
Yeah, so you definitely can speak on it more than I can. I can just talk about the music and some of the story things, but I just like going back to Pocahontas. I just it should have been something else.
Oh, it should have. It should have, because it just, if you know, if you know the real story, you know it is not going to go well. Like it's not. It won't go well, no matter how you try to adapt it, unless you're going for that like true hardcore HBO type thing.
Which then it wouldn't be Disney,
It wouldn't be Disney. So it's like
yeah. Yeah, but much like the lions from Lion King, we're just going to say yes. I mean, I'm ready for part 2 where we get into what happened, because around this time, this is where Mr. Katzenberg was like, you know what, you know what, y'all, I'm finna just dip, and we gotta talk about what happens next. So. Tune in next time for that.
Yes, and also we're going to talk about an addition. Since last year, we're going to talk about an addition. Now that she is considered a Disney property, she is now officially considered a Disney princess, and we're going to be talking about Anastasia. We're going to add her in here.
We got to, and I mean, just for a little fun for the next episode too, because if we talk about Anastasia, can we just briefly talk about the competition that came out in '98?
Yes.
That was somewhere in Egypt, I believe.
Prince of Egypt. Yes, that's when DreamWorks made, like, Disney was looking at them like, oh, we actually kind of got a little competition going on here. Okay.
So I'm ready. I am so ready to talk about Renaissance Part 2. I'm so ready. Like that. This is where corporate drama, scandal, all that. Like, I'm ready. I'm so ready. And the music, like once again, in my opinion, artists, musicians, filmmakers, what have you, everybody who's in the artist umbrella, they do their best when they feel like they're in competition, and they have something to prove. And when they feel like they don't have anything to prove, then you get all those Disney sequels after Lion King 2. So anyway,
you're not lying. You ain't lying.
So anyway, I've been the Aquarius.
I'm the Leo. Thank you for tuning into the A&A show. We'll be back. Peace.